And joining us now on Six News I Newport, they are one of the newly elected councillors for Alice Springs Town Council, the second Greens representative after, of course, Astor Hill won the mayoralty. Thank you very much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, big win for the Greens, obviously. Just starting off with the mayoral result, because that was kind of dependent on whether you would get in as a councillor yourself. Very close result in the end. That preference distribution on the Friday night. Were you surprised when that final result came out and confirmed the Greens' victory?
Yeah, I was actually. I had assumed that Lisa Marie Burgoyne's preferences would go to Ellie Melky, so it was a fantastic surprise to see that the community really was getting behind Asta.
In terms of the Greens' success at this election, because we've seen the vote build up in the territory election, of course, just over a year ago, and we've seen it. Obviously, you've run a Senate campaign. You were the lead candidate only earlier this year. What do you put that down to policy wise, just for Alice Springs specific? Because for some of the outsider comments that I've seen, certainly I'm an outsider to Alice Springs. People are like, well, hang on, how are the Greens winning in a remote area? How are the Greens able to do this? How are they able to do this in your view?
Yeah, I mean, we have done very strong community consultation, at door knocking with people, and that has meant that we have built a policy platform across our different levels of government that is based on what the community really wants. And it's really been countering the opposition discourses of division and fear. And so we've been focusing our campaign on hope and care, and people have really resonated with that and are ready for a change.
As a young person yourself, and you'll now be on Alice Springs Council, actually being able to deal with this kind of thing, how are you going to work to, I guess, make sure that young people belong in Alice Springs, that young people aren't kind of caught up in, maybe some would call it, the crime narrative? How are you going to kind of work for young people specifically?
Yeah, it's something that I've talked about with voters throughout the election campaign, because crime is still a top issue in town here. And so for me, it's about making sure, as you said, that young people feel that they belong, that there are spaces for young people to go, especially in summer when it's really hot. Make sure there are public air-conditioned spaces for people to hang out, like the library or youth centres. Extending the hours of the town pool so that kids and young people have somewhere safe to be, where they can cool off and get their energy out, and not so much be roaming the streets. And just making sure that we actually are listening to young people. I think a lot of young people feel really disenfranchised, and the youth programs are often built by adults, sometimes, who have good intentions, but we just need to be guided by young people. And I would really love to see reference groups brought back in our council here, to make sure that we're hearing from all parts of our community, including having a reference group from young people.
And just finally, similar question, but broadly in terms of the agenda that you'll be able to bring once sworn in, two Greens reps, including yourself. I believe some of the other councillors who aren't Greens are progressive. I've seen them described as. So ideally, for you guys, I imagine a working majority there with the mayoralty in Greens' hands. What are the kind of broader, for all age groups, for all demographics, and Alice Springs focuses that you'll have for, I guess, the remainder of the year and the couple of months you've got?
Yeah, well, definitely my first priority is to get to know all of my fellow councillors and build working relationships so that we can have healthy discussions and make sure that we're making decisions that reflect the whole town. I really want to make sure that we get our current projects right, like the CBD revitalisation. That's been a big project that, there'll be millions of dollars being spent on that, as well as the library. At the moment, there's proposals of moving the library somewhere else, and so we just need to make sure that's what the community actually wants. And in addition to that, I know that people, especially young people, but all people, would really like to see action on climate change. And on a council level, I think one of the best ways we can do that is building a climate adaptation strategy to make sure that we can adapt to these longer, hotter summers that are already on the way, as we just saw last summer.
And I know I said finally, but just also finally, something that was noted during the election campaign, the turnout again. I mean, it's not unusual for NT local, but it was low. I believe it was down on 2021 as well. notwithstanding that the NTEC has a job there and the NT government has a job there, I guess as a councillor, what are you going to maybe try to work for to ensure that in the next 4 years there's more people actually voting in the first place? Because it was again, unusual isn't the right word for NT local, but it was noticeably low.
Yeah, and it's a problem that we're having across the NT, across all levels of government. And I think that people just feel disillusioned with government in general. And I think that this is because people feel like they aren't being heard. And so, something that I'm really keen to do is to have a once a week drop in session where anyone can come and talk to me, tell me their issues. We can hash out some ideas, and I can be transparent about what's actually going on in council. And I think this will help people feel included, feel consulted, and feel that there is meaningful representation happening in Alice Springs.
Right. Really appreciate your time. Hope to catch up again in the future. Thank you very much. And congratulations again.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.